It's not. We're gonna get started. Welcome. Thanks for sharing your Monday morning. Want to introduce myself. My name is Mina. I'm the program coordinator with Livable Neighborhoods and things I get to put on all the school civic engagement, participation things for you all to share with me. Thank you. Just wanted to remind you, if you didn't sign in on your way in or as you're coming through, go ahead and sign in. Don't worry if you didn't sign in, I'll remind you at the end as well. And then also silence your phones. We have little microphones on top of us, so we can hear when your phone goes off and when you're chit-chatting. So just to be polite to people online, go ahead and do that now. And then some announcements, just a friendly reminder that Memorial Day is coming up. UG offices will be closed on Monday. And then also before I see you in June, we have Juneteenth and UG offices will also be closed that Thursday, the 19th for Juneteenth. So just reminders, don't come visit us if you won't be here. For Livable Neighborhoods, I will be after this at the sock hop. So if you are interested in coming to the area agency or the agency for the sock hop, come by and visit. I'll be tabling, come see me twice today. And then also Livable Neighborhoods, we're in the process of refining and restructuring how we're doing community engagement and some of the processes through our office. This refinement, it won't interrupt any services that Livable Neighborhoods does. So I'll still see you every month until October. For the monthly meeting, we'll still do flyers and copies and voice broadcasting for neighborhood groups. And also any other additional support to neighborhood grants, like all of those things will still be here, and so will I. So I just wanted to offer that reassurance. But however, as we're in the process of doing this refinement, I just want to let you know that we have went through and we updated the LN website. So if you want to go check that out, I did a really great job. But LN, you could email me about how good the website looks. So without further ado, we have two presenters today. And I'll let them come up and introduce themselves. We have a clicker, and first up we have here. I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
Oh, no, that's not Well, good morning. We are excited to be here in front of the community here at Livable Neighborhoods. Thank you, Mina, for the invite for an extended presentation. Not just my 3-minute spiel that I usually do. But we're excited to talk about things that we're doing here in the community here in Wyandotte County, and also listen and hear from you guys about things that we can be doing better. My name is Nick Moreno. I hope you all know me by now, but if you don't, I'm going to leave some business cards over there. Reach out to me. Let's get coffee. Let's meet. Let's talk about BPU. So today we're going to cover 3 things. It's not going to be me talking. It's going to be these guys over here. We're going to be talking about an overview about what we do here at BPU. We're going to kind of quell some confusion about what we do versus what the unified government does and go through that on our bill. And then last, we're going to talk about some programs and resources that we offer here at BPU to help our community. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our new general manager. Are you not new anymore? New general manager, Jeremy Ash.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Well, like Nick said, we're happy to be here. One of the things that myself and our leadership team's trying to do is get more out in the community, meet more people and organizations, kind of where they're at, and talk about BPU, what we do, what we don't do, how we can help. And if we can't help, maybe where we can get you pointed in the right direction to get some help. So happy to be here. I don't know if Nick or who has the clicker. Or is this the I'm not good with technology, so, but everybody in here should know, pretty much BPU, who we are and what we do. And sometimes maybe you know what we don't do, and that's not good for us either. Let's see. Well,
Put your glasses on. All right.
this is why I have a handler. Well, that's okay. We can you manually advance it?
Yeah, we can.
We'll try one time to see if it fixes it.
Fix it. Remarkable. And that one?
Sure.
Okay.
Abby and I will share. So, first off, I do have some of my executive leadership team here. Abby Fry, she's Chief Administrative Officer. And we're gonna kind of co-op this thing together. She's got a lot more responsibilities than I do. And she's really great at them. And then we have Nick, who you all know. Amber Otting is our
Paparazzi.
communications, and between the two of them, they keep us straight. And then Carlos Quijas is here. Most of you probably know him, helping out with different things in your neighborhood. So little quick reminder about BPU. We've been around a little over 100 years. About 67-ish thousand electric customers, 50, it's closer to 55 now, thousand water customers. 3,000 miles of electric lines here within our service territory of Wyandotte County, mainly Kansas City, Kansas. We push some water out to Edwardsville and Bonner, but all of our electric pretty much stays here within Kansas City, Kansas. Doesn't really get into Edwardsville or Bonner. And over 1,000 miles of water pipes. We do run a state-of-the-art water treatment facility down on the river near our Nearman Power Plant. And if anybody's ever interested in seeing what goes on down there, it's a fantastic resource. We just celebrated its 25th birthday this year, and we're happy to show it off and talk about it. A little bit why it's so important. It's the only one we have. Today, I can tell you that we're using BPU's energy today, but you never know. We can import and export power. We can buy and sell. We can do all that seamlessly without you all knowing what's happening. But I promise you, if you leave that water plant, you're gonna know. It's super important. Mr. May can tell you that it's really important for public safety. It's really important for just consumer consumption, public health, all those things. So it's a fantastic facility. If anybody ever wants to see it, or you want to get your groups out here, or if you work with students, high school, college, career type things, happy to show it off and get you down there to see what we're doing every day. And I think I introduced Abby already. We're going to kind of go through some of this stuff together, but a little bit about BPU. We're a not-for-profit organization, right? So what that really means is we make a revenue, but all of those revenues are poured back into operating functions. We don't make a profit. That's the difference between us and an investor-owned utility. And not only that, is a little bit, our culture is a lot different. We live in the community. We take care of the community. Most all of us in public service come out of our community, related to a lot of people, know a lot of people in public service. That's just kind of how it works, the nature of public service. But we're locally controlled. As you all know, we're an administrative agency of the unified government. We have a 6-member elected board that I and the rest of the team report to. And that's really important in my view. The more local control you can have means the more access that you and all the other voters in the county have to be able to come and speak with your governors, for lack of a better term, the folks that are controlling, whether it be commissioners, whether it be BPU board members, community college trustees, those kinds of things. I'm a big believer in the community-owned local control, giving people access to the resources that they have to use. And then we're really, really thrilled that we are designated nationally as a reliable public power provider. We compete in that space with all of the other municipals across the country, and there's quite a few, 5,800 or so. We are only one of about the top 45 or so that get the diamond designation for being a reliable public power provider. And I sit on a couple of national working groups, trade working groups, and we're constantly trying to network and bring things from large to small. Where we sit in our space, we're in the top 50. I can tell you that. It fluctuates a little bit when it comes to size of municipal power providers. It's hard to think about that. We only have, 67,000, 68,000 customers. You start thinking about some of these large cities, most of them are controlled by investor owners. So we do have some very large public providers in the country, places like San Antonio, places, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. You start talking about people that have customer counts of 800 to a million, 1.2 million, 1.4 million. Then you get all the way to us at 67, but we're still in that top 50. So that's pretty important. We have a lot of resources that are available to us just because of that and the things we're involved in. And from there, I'll let Abby take over and talk about a little bit of our renewed customer care, customer focus, and the transparent accountability that we're building in.
Thanks, Jeremy. So again, my name is Abby Fry. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer, and I just celebrated 1 year with BPU. So I oversee HR, customer care, communications and marketing, and our admin and facility services. And so while I've only been at BPU 1 year, I have over 20 years of experience in utilities. I was with Westar Energy before they became Evergy, and I was with Kansas Gas. And so I know a lot about investor-owned utilities and focusing on the profit and what goes back to the shareholders, not what goes back to the community. And so instead of having a utility that's focused on the people and the community that they serve, they're usually across multiple counties, multiple states, as Jeremy said, sometimes millions of customers. Even Kansas Gas, while it says Kansas Gas is owned by One Gas out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they cover Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas with over 2 million customers. So their focus is not on every single individual county. It's really focused on the big cities that they serve, and then their shareholders. Yours.
Well, that's a good segue into local impact, right? So when we talk about being a non-for-profit, while we do drive a revenue, that revenue goes completely back into our operations by way of capital improvements, by way of maintenance initiatives, by way of personnel development, different things. And so you can see here some of the things that we do for the community overall. Last year, 2024, we helped out with $625,000 in assistance payments. Folks, your neighbors, your family, our neighbors, our families that just struggle to pay. That's one of the things with the local control and the community focus and impact differently than what an investor-owned company does, but we're able to do 400,000 plus, community giving, different things that we do directly to help organizations, neighborhood groups, nonprofits. The bottom one there, $24 million. That's quite a bit of business that we do right here in our own community. Happy to do that. And if any of you are business owners, you do provide a service that maybe we could take advantage of, or you sell some parts and pieces we can take advantage of, reach out to Amber. We'll get you figured out how to get on our bid list. And so when we have those opportunities, you'll get those notifications. We love doing business with our own communities. A little bit about, some of the things you don't think about when you think of BPU. We support the entire first responder radio system. So Mr. May will tell you that is a heavy lift. We support a lot of agencies, not just BPU, not just Kansas Police and Fire, everything Benny's team to people in Parkville, the community college. There's just tons of users of that system, and we take care of it. The big lift. We take care of about 6,800 fire hydrants for the city. The city owns all of the street lights and the traffic signals. We maintain them all for them. You can see there that that's a little bit over 25,000 lights. I imagine those numbers are a little off because sometimes we don't even know all of them that are out there. So, and then of course, we contribute about a little over $8, sometimes $1 million in electric and water service to unified government facilities and our own facility. I don't know if you, Abby, want to add anything to that, but if not, we go ahead and move into kind of the differences between what the BPU does and what the unified government does.
So this is a common question or confusion that we get on what's BPU versus what's UG. And so BPU provides your electric service and your water service, along with the other services that Jeremy mentioned that we support. On the UG side, we've got your stormwater, your wastewater or sewer, and your trash and recycling, along with many, many other services. So we collaborate a lot. My team, my customer care team and I have been meeting with the UG, the 311 team, just to find out ways that we can create some synergies and work together. how we can help each other and make it easier for you to do business with both BPU and the UG. So we meet every other month. We talk about the things that we're seeing, the call volumes that we're seeing, any pain points for the customers, and any information that we can share that makes it easier for you.
And I mean, kind of to that end, I'm super proud that since the first of the year, we have hosted at BPU or participated in meetings at the Unified Government, our communications team, the Unified Government's communications team, all of the customer service functions, so that we can make sure we're getting everybody a consistent message, right? We've had multiple meetings since the first of the year with certain key team members of mine and commissioners, whether it be one-on-one to talk about issues they have, hosting them at our facilities, let them kind of, it's the old thing, right? Is if the door's locked, everybody's trying to get in. But if you unlock the door and somebody figures out it's just unlocked, they don't want in anymore. So we're trying to do the best thing we can to say, hey, the door's unlocked. Come let us show you. There's no secrets over here. And so I'm super proud of the work my team has done since the first of the year in making that cooperation happen.
So on our bill, you can see the services that are billed for BPU and for the UG. We're really lucky here to have a combined bill with all of these on one bill. So I came from Topeka, moved here a year ago when I got this job, and I had a separate electric bill, a water bill, a sewer bill, a trash bill. You pay taxes and fees on all of those things. They're coming at different times. You're trying to figure out which one do I pay? When do I pay it? How do I pay it? All of that. And so having those all combined is actually really great. It's really great for the community. And it just provides a seamless, efficiency for everybody. But this helps show that when you're looking at the bill, we've broken it down so you can see the different categories. You can see the percentage of the bill. Just trying to help people understand what those different sections of the bill mean and where they tie back to. So yes, BPU sends out the bill, but it's a collaborative effort. The UG sends us information, we put that on there, and then we send it out. We do collect the payment, and then the portion that goes to the UG, we send over to the UG. So as Jeremy mentioned, we have been really working hard to change our customer focus. We changed the name of our department from customer service to customer care and really put an emphasis on the care piece of that. We're doing a lot of changes with things to help serve our customers. We do offer a hardship program, utility assistance, payment arrangements, and flex pay. Flex pay is something that a lot of people don't know about. It's basically a prepaid program for your electric service. And so you would prepay for the service versus getting a bill for the electric piece at the end of the month, which sometimes can be, when your air conditioning's running and lights and everything else, TV, that can increase. So you don't get that surprise bill. It also helps you avoid getting disconnected. You don't have to pay a deposit with the flex pay. And so if someone's signing up for service, and maybe they would be issued a deposit, this is a good way to prevent that. And so the flex pay is really great for people that want to manage their money a little bit differently, have a little bit more control, or pay in a different way. So maybe you only get paid once a month. And so, trying to pay when that bill comes due is more difficult. This allows you to prepay when it's convenient for you, or put something on your bill every week if you want. So that's just an option that we have. We also do weatherization audits where we come into the home and look at ways that we can make your home more efficient. We do appliance and energy rebates, surge protection. And then our focus, we are refocusing on giving back to the community and being in the community more. So volunteering, coming and speaking out in the community, creating positions that are connecting with the customers, and so that we can be more of a resource directly to the people that need to reach us.
That is a good segue into kind of what we're kind of leaning into or looking forward to. Reliable, safe, and affordable services is at the forefront of our mission. You see that in a number of ways. Our generation portfolio right now today is about 48% renewable. We just inked a deal for 200 more megawatts of solar power. So we're gonna be importing another 200 megawatts of solar energy. The farm's under construction right now, so we were able to get in early and get our piece secured. But that's important because when you hear all the things that are coming our way with respect to development and data centers and different things like that, we want to be sure we're able to take advantage of those things and make those things be a benefit to the community. People in community, as Abby mentioned, we're really have a renewed emphasis on sort of customer service. Everybody has a customer. I have customers. They have customers. Y'all that run your neighborhood groups have customers, whether internal, external, whatever. So we're trying to get refocused on that. We're really trying to get out and do this more, meet people where they're at, bring them the resources to them to let them know how we can help them. 4 weeks ago, we did something that we've never done at BPU. And that is we took our shoe on the road, and I don't know how many of you have heard of the program at El Centro for the first time home buyers and how they're helping them put through those classes. So we went down there a couple Saturdays ago and we gave our complete presentation on everything available to those folks in 100% Spanish. I think I was the only person in the room that didn't speak Spanish. Had a great translator. One of the people on Abby's team, 100% Spanish speaking. We took one of our resources from our HR team. She did a great job translating for me, but they all did a great job of giving it back to the community. And so that's kind of the things we're looking at. We're talking about meeting people where they're at. Those folks are here working just as hard as everybody and trying to realize their dream. And sometimes it's a lot harder for them. So how can we make that easier? Those are the kind of things we're looking at. I think you should probably mention your new position of your customer advocate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a new position that we're gonna be interviewing for shortly. It's called customer advisor. It's a position that will connect customers with agencies that can provide support for them. So they'll work with our any kind of LEAP funds, with our hardship, but then also if there's agencies out there that we can connect customers with for resources. And so maybe they've got money set aside for rent that month, but not for utilities. If they can get assistance to cover that rent, they have that money to use for utilities. And so helping them navigate that and find those things, attend resource fairs. And so just again, being in the community more often and having that face-to-face connection with people as they need it. So that position we're hiring for very shortly. In addition to some of the stuff Jeremy mentioned, we also kicked off a implementation for a new IVR system, which is an interactive voice response system. That's what you call press 1, press 2, that kind of thing. Our system's pretty dated and doesn't offer a lot of options. For instance, right now, if you are Spanish speaking only, you get transferred to a line, and if nobody is available to pick that up, you have to leave a message and wait for a callback. This will allow a Spanish speaker to find out what their balance is, to find out information about their account in the IVR. It'll also help route calls faster. So if you're able to self-serve and take care of business in the IVR, great. If not, it'll get you to an agent faster. And then we are working on a translation service. This is almost complete as well, where if somebody calls right now and they speak something other than English or Spanish, we have a language block. We don't offer other services. And if they don't have a translator on the phone for them, that's an issue. And we have a lot of people that speak different languages in this community. So we will have a translation service, not only for people that call in for our customer service, but for our operations team. So if they're out in the field and they're talking to someone face to face, they can pull up their cell phone and dial in and get a translating service that will help them communicate with the customer. So those are just some things that we're working on right now that will all be implemented by the end of the summer. Well, the IVR probably end of the year, the other two things into summer.
Okay, lastly, just as we mentioned, we love getting out. We're trying to get out and help people better understand. So let us know. Here's some of the easy ways you can connect with us. For sure, reach out to Nick, Amber, happy to come out to your organizations and talk, happy to come out and help, happy to bring resources and help people. And we'll bring customer care agents, we'll bring laptops, we'll come do what we've got to do. And then one of the other things I'm super proud of so far this year, we've written a formal volunteer policy. And so we're letting our employees, get involved in their community. Two things, right? We should do that. That's our part of our responsibility back to the community, but for us too, it's also sort of a team building and culture shaping activity, for our team members. So if you have things in your neighborhood groups, or you have other organizations that you work with that could use some help, whether it be mentors or work days to clean up a park or do this, that, and the other. We've got people, we've got equipment, and we're happy to try to help out however we can. So with that, any questions? Happy to try to answer.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
For the service access, do those people answer every question from what can I coordinate my trees to how's the solar revenue price? I mean, or is there, are there different numbers?
Yeah, sure. So if
And
you
that
call
will be
the general customer service number, they can answer most all of your questions. If you have something specialized, like a tree question or some kind of operational issue, they'll likely pass you along to
Okay.
our dispatch center, who can either answer those questions themselves or put you in contact with the person that's responsible for that department.
Okay, okay.
Two questions
Yeah.
online. One
Yeah.
was asking, could you repeat the name of the position again?
Customer advisor.
And then also they put public utility versus private utility. BPU employees have a residency requirement. Do private utilities that make comparative salaries or more required to live in the community working as well?
So
Some
some do, some don't. So
But they have a wider area.
Yeah.
So for example, when I worked at Westar, we did not have a residency. My understanding is Evergy does, but look at their territory. It's massive versus just a small area. So some of them do, some of them don't. Again, I think it goes back to their investment and
Abby, did some of the, particularly the crews, did they have a response time?
yes, now that's a great point is, every utility I've worked for is that if you work, for a crew or in the call center, you have to be able to be at your facility of work within, an hour, or 60 miles or something like that. And so, typically your response time is required.
that's more common, what
Yeah.
I see around the country. And like I mentioned, I chair or sit on a couple of nationwide panels and committees for kind of trade work and different things. Most of what we see is a response time. So if you are at a big investor-owned utility that might have 5 or 6 different docks that the operations folks work out of, you have to live within so many minutes or so many miles response time to that dock you work out of. Some of them have weird things, like you have to be able to be in the service territory in general within a certain amount of time. At BPU, we're just like the city. We have a policy where we have to live in the county. That policy is different than unified governments. Our board implemented their own policy when they did it. And so, but I think it's pretty much the same. But we also have in our employee handbook and in our collective bargaining agreement with the union that anybody that's dispatched for emergency call out work has 60 minutes to respond. Sort of conflicts. You live 10 minutes away, but you got an hour to get here. So I think there's room for improvement. I'll just be completely transparent about that. You know, if all of the working rules and different things say an hour, sometimes we struggle to recruit, as does, I think, the unified government. You struggle to recruit super technical positions, super professional positions. You could have, you know, Matt could find a great candidate in Overland Park whose kids are rooted in a school system. They do the things with their churches. They go to their grocery stores and doctors. And then we lose them because we ask them to move 15 minutes down the highway. So I certainly wasn't around when all of the residency things were implemented. You'd have to ask somebody like Sheriff Ash or somebody that's been here longer than me, because of how it came about. But I I think that, for BPU, I don't want to speak for unified government, we probably have to look at how we can amend or edit that. And still do it to match what the working rules say, right?
Excuse me, this is Edwin Birch. I just want to jump in. Sorry about that. Jeremy, I appreciate you touching on that. I just asked that question because, there's pros and cons on both. And I just want to remind residents of KCK and Wyandotte County that due to the residency requirement, although some people don't want to move here who don't live here because of their own reasons, could you imagine if you didn't have it? I want you all to think about it. If you didn't have, if the UG and the other side to that and BPU didn't have a residency requirement, many of those employees will be taking those salaries back to their communities. So if it's a challenge for us having it, I think that challenge would be even more, I think it would make matters even more difficult. But then again, I just wanted to say that you all live in the county. And so I think you're building relationships, people know you, and that's another positive impact. And the other thing I hear amongst a lot of my fellow residents, people complain about the trash pickup being on their bill. And there have been complaints about that. And BPU, have addressed that, I know, in many meetings. And I just would like for residents to think about the other side. In some communities, when you think about our community, there was a big dumping issue. Many people coming in our community just throwing their trash everywhere. Just think if every resident had to be responsible for paying for their trash, we all would like to think everyone would be responsible and do that. But could you imagine living or having neighbors who are not able or who don't pay for their trash and it's just sitting on the curb? So, I mean, those are things that are difficult conversations, and I'm just bringing that up. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
What is your policy for upgrading? We have a lot of old wire hanging in the neighborhood, and when your people come out to service something, are they authorized to recommend replacing wire, or do you wait till they fall down and burn something down?
No, so all of our electric service folks have the latitude to, if they respond to your neighborhood to do anything, they can give an inspection and they can write a ticket for the engineering group or for operations supervisor to come out and take a look and see if things need updated. Sort of to that end, about 6 years ago, I wrote a program for the pole inspection program. And we implemented that. So we work with a vendor now. We take care of about 62,000 poles. So we wrote this program because we were really reactive to everything. We would come and put focus on neighborhoods driven by outage numbers and different things. Really reactive. So we wrote this program for this inspection process, and we broke it into a 10-year period. So we're inspecting about 6,000 poles a year, give or take. We started that in the oldest, most affected area of the system. So naturally, our failure rates and our things that we needed to address immediately came back a lot higher than sort of what you would expect for a national average. As we've moved now, we're sort of depending on, which area we're in. We're definitely still east of 635, probably in that 38th Street area. As we move west, we expect those numbers to come down a little because those parts of the city are newer, the infrastructure is newer. Doesn't mean we won't have anything to do, but we expect those numbers to be a little better the further we move into newer parts of our system. So yes, they have the absolute latitude to do that, but then we're also biting it off in I know a decade sounds like a long time, but if you could imagine, inspect 6,000 poles and you have a failure rate of 8 or 10%, now we've got to go get 600 poles changed. It's not an easy lift, right? So we're trying to step through it in a methodical manner, starting with the most disinvested area first and make sure we cover all of everything. Same kind of process we do with our trees. We get through our entire electric system, about 130 circuits every 3 years. Something we'd never done for a long, long time, if ever. We started that with a 5-year program. Once we got it under control, we were able to reduce it to a 3-year program. And we see now, when we have storms that blew through like the other night, if that would have happened 7, 8, 10 years ago, we'd have worked for a week. It happened the other day, everybody's back on that afternoon. It's a big investment, pays big dividends.
You've got time for your question.
So I just want to chime in and say, to remind people, all these lines you see and stuff, extra lines, you've got other utilities, you've got AT&T, you have your cable companies, you have all these other people that don't necessarily care if they come in, do the work, like you were talking, and leave lines laying down because it's not their line.
And we respond to a lot of down wire calls that aren't ours. but
Well, no, that's not your, it
Yeah.
wasn't yours. It was another group, but they don't care because it's not their line they're taking care of.
And there's, a lot of the community, we do lease space to almost every communication company out there.
Yep.
So they have certain responsibilities. So we put some pressure on them because we
Good.
feel like we haven't been given the focus that maybe they would in Johnson or Jackson County. So now we have a notification process and it's not dealt with in 30 days. We become the owner of their asset and we get to charge them.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second board members, we have to give notify government's emergency management. You guys gonna come up with the key?
Bounce him in. Hey, Edwin.
Hello.
See? Matt May here, buddy. 10 minutes. All right. Good morning, everybody. Matt May. Let me see if I know how to run it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, so thank you for being here. I hope we got the right selection of donuts and bagels and stuff, so please enjoy that because I really don't want to take them back to the office because now. So, and I'm Matt May again, the director, and Jennifer is with our planning. She is our planning group, one and only. She has long history here in Wyandotte. I also have a couple more gentlemen in the back, if you would just stand up for a second. David Richardson, back here on my left, your right, is our new operations guy. And Pete runs the radio system for us that Jeremy was referring to. So we manage it together, kind of co-work on that to make it a resource for everybody, because it's really not right to build a multi-million-dollar radio system and do it twice. So we should be sharing that now. So for the most part, I'm going to give this to Jennifer and we'll stand up here and kibitz.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for giving us the opportunity. There are some folks that emergency management, you may not be overly familiar with what it is that emergency management does. We saw on a national scale after the tornadoes and incidents and hurricanes that happened in North Carolina, especially, folks were getting educated for the first time on what it means when we say emergency management. So we are really a coordinating agency and we coordinate a lot of resources. We work every day with other agencies, first responders in the community to make sure that in blue sky times, we are working, we are prepared, we're getting everybody trained up and prepared and we have plans. And then so when something happens for what we call a dark sky period, then we're ready to respond. And so one of the reasons that we prepare, right, is we've had some significantly large events in Wyandotte County. A lot of you probably remember 1951 flood was pretty historic. We've seen flooding in 93, of course, the 2003 tornado that came by. I was a librarian at that time in a past life and at the West Wyandotte Library, and it came right over. So I remember that quite vividly. We've had the 2002 ice storms. So that's one of the biggest hazards that we see is severe weather, winter weather here in the Midwest and Wyandotte County. But besides, in addition to natural disasters, we also see some that are man-made or accidental. So we have, every day we have the second busiest train rail hub.
we have the second largest or first largest, depending on if somebody from Chicago is standing nearby. It depends on how you measure, whether you measure by boxcars or poundage. But we have a lot of threat and risk that rolls through here every day. And honestly, we don't even know exactly what it is at any given moment. So we have to plan for everything.
Yeah.
So, and other smaller risks. Worked a hazardous material event a couple of weeks ago where a gentleman thought it was okay to have a bunch of lithium batteries in his house. One caught fire. We ended up removing 3 55-gallon drums full of lithium batteries, which once they get exposed to fire, continue to react. You can totally take them off the power and they're still generating power. And so they're very dangerous in that way. They're also a contaminant. The off-gassing is not good. I told the fire teams I wasn't going inside any more of those homes because unless they give me bunker gear. So we're going to see about that. Another thing I wanted to note while I have the floor for a second is it's not just weather. It's not just these events. You don't have to go back very far to look for assailant, active assailants, the new terminology for the ConAgra shoot. So just know that we call it all hazards. Is that practical? Probably not, but we prioritize them. And weather often falls about what, 5th or 6th, depending on the day. Other things, the ice storm is probably one that worries me the most because that can have big impacts. That ice storm that Jennifer put on there, I remember my mother, who lived in Overland Park at the time, right in the middle of a upscale metro neighborhood, didn't have power for 2.5 weeks. And that was true of everybody. It was the incoming, wasn't people at our level. It was those incoming network lines that were so damaged. And boys, that's a huge impact. Not only do you lose everything you own as far as what's in the refrigerator, but you can't even go out and eat in a restaurant. So it's really difficult.
Yes, and the last two on here, extreme heat. And some folks, when we talk about that, might say, well, how do you prepare for extreme heat, or why is that considered a hazard? But what we know is with extreme heat, what we're seeing is the heat is getting hotter every year, and it's for more prolonged periods of time. And extreme heat kills more people every year than all other natural disasters combined. So you can add hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, all of that, and we lose more people to extreme heat. So there are ways to prepare for that. And then we're seeing more that's trending is drought. And again, because of that extreme heat, and where that might impact us, because that is going to greatly impact the folks in central and western Kansas that are those meat and produce producers, is that the costs are going to go up. So we all know what happened during COVID. So that supply chain issue is going to be impacted by droughts. And I just put up here, I love visuals. And so this is a screenshot of all of the disasters last year in 2024 that cost more than $1 billion. So this information was compiled by NOAA, the National Weather Service. And you can see they're in a particular part of the United States. So yes, we do have coastal hurricanes, but you can see it's in our neck of the woods, right? So just something to be cognizant, and it's a mixture of tornadoes, severe weather.
That's 1 year.
Yep, 1 year.
27 billion with a B. Just on the storms that you see there. That's by no means all of them. That is just the ones that crested $1 billion.
There's no fires in California?
In 2024, they must have got under that billion.
Yeah, correct. So sometimes it's timing.
And then this is a scale we're talking about with that extreme heat that we're seeing more and more every year. You can see that pretty much is across the country. And then where we're at, we're on the higher end of the amount of days that we exceed what we would normally have for temperatures. So those are the kind of trends and forecasting that we look at.
Notice normal is white. You don't see a whole lot of white on that map.
So is that Wisconsin that's so hot?
It's, yeah, some of the.
Compared to their
In
average,
Florida, or-
compared to their average, it was very hot.
This is compared to their average.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
This is above their median
Oh, okay.
regular temperature.
Anything in red is above average. And you can see almost the entire continent actually is above average right now. And that has impacts for all of us.
Yes. And so this kind of gives you an idea. This is what we call the emergency cycle. So this is what we're doing. So when we're not responding in response mode to disasters or emergency, the rest of the time, what we call during blue skies, we are really preparing. So we're preparing by making sure that we're talking to the right folks. They have the training they need. They have the resources, equipment, supplies they need. We are trying to do mitigation. A lot of that has to do with the built environment. Do we have areas that are prone to flooding? Do we have areas that we can reinforce and make them more resilient if we have built infrastructure? And so we also do recovery. And kind of the rule of thumb with recovery is after a disaster or an incident happens, we're trying to get right into recovery mode. So I know when I was at the Red Cross, when we would open a shelter, we would always say, we're already planning on how to shut it down. So we want people to get back on their feet as quickly as possible to what we call a new normal. So we're starting that recovery process as soon as, with the initial incident, we have that life safety, right? But once we get past that, it is about recovery, getting back our community, our economic recovery, getting that ball rolling.
Recovery is the longest part of that cycle by far. For example, Joplin, they had an EF5 tornado about 17 years ago. They are still in recovery. They have not replaced the residents that left. They have not replaced the homes that were destroyed. There's just some big open green spots where those homes used to be. We don't want to see that happen here. So we've really focused on it. It used to be a part of our plan. It is now its own standalone plan. And we're continuing to refine and rebuild that plan.
And then what are the ways that we prepare, and I'll let Matt talk about the weather sirens that we have.
Yes, we refer to them as the outdoor warning sirens, right? So if you're in your basement playing Warcraft or something, you're probably not gonna hear. I will tell you, we have 86 of these sirens. BPU is another great partner in getting these staying powered up. I know when I first got here about 11 years ago, one of the things I did was looked at some of the outage time periods, and you guys' numbers are astronomically better than they were when I first came on. So that's fantastic. We do test them every month. I'm sure you're all familiar, 11 o'clock on first Wednesdays. We can't test on the first Wednesday if it's raining or cloudy or might be misunderstood that it's not a test. Then we will postpone to the next Wednesday. If we can't get it in on that day, and that happens once in a while, then we skip it and go to the next month. Okay, so that's one of the things that's good information to be shared with you and your groups. The other part is that when we do activate them, it is only for one thing, and that's a tornado warning. We do have it written into our policy. It's at the discretion of the duty officer. So the only time that would probably be true is when we don't have a warning yet from the Weather Service, but we can see the freight train coming. So you're probably familiar with the 2019 so-called Linwood tornado, started out in Douglas County. EF4 came through 38 miles long. That freight train was coming. It stopped a quarter mile short of the Wyandotte County line. Now, did that mean that bomber didn't see 90-mile-an-hour winds? No, they did, but it just wasn't as tornadic. That tornado continued aloft until it got to Kearney, Missouri, and came back down as an EF3 again. So it wasn't by no means gone, just chose to hop over a very populated area. As I said to Gordon Criswell, who was my boss at the time, I said, we were 30 seconds from being on the CNN for the next 30 days because it would have been much more dramatic. But that system is designed to sound for 3 minutes and then be quiet for 7 minutes. So in that quiet time, it hasn't gone away. So you really got to wait 10 minutes. If you don't hear it in 10 minutes, then probably that threat has moved on. Does that not mean that 10 minutes later, we could start that whole cycle over again? Yes, done that. I had to sound them once, I think, for that 2019 storm for about 45 minutes straight. That's hugely inconvenient to a lot of people, and I get it, but those are really rare. Usually they're in about 15-minute increments.
What does that mean? Then 10, so you sound it for 3 minutes and then what? There's a gap?
And then it's just, they stop making noise.
Okay.
But I don't want you to misunderstand that silence. That silence simply means that equipment really can't run continuously.
Okay, so then you skip what, 10 minutes?
Then we have a 7-minute gap,
Oh, 7
and then it makes a 10-minute cycle. So if the threat's still there, we will continue to sound them every 10 minutes.
Understand.
Okay. And that's a little confusing sometimes. That's why we try to, and again, we're telling it to you today, but we're giving this as an example of a presentation that we can do for your community groups. So that we get that message out to everybody. So, and then why didn't it sound today? Well, because it didn't look, it looked like it could be confusing. Those are things that you want everybody to know. Commissioner?
I think Commissioner Ramirez was working with you on a texting, some sort of texting capability.
Absolutely.
Is there any progress?
There is progress. It was a budget issue short term. It looked like we were going to lose it, and then I got it back. And that just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
So we're going to fire that project up. We're going to tie it to our new Workday system as well, so we get the employee information, but but we're also gonna make it so that general public can either sign themselves up or we're gonna get their data as best we can from other sources. And hopefully, I think the quote I got from one of the companies was their attempt is to get 85%, that we find a phone number for 85% of the residents of the county. Now, does that help us on Speedway weeks? Not as much, but they have their own texting system. So we use all these tools, and we'll talk more as we get into more warning stuff about how we mesh those tools together, because it is a puzzle. That's my analogy for it.
And then one of the services that we provide is kind of what we're doing here today, is to go out into the community, to your neighborhood groups, to your faith-based organizations, and do presentations. And we can do those on a specific hazard. If you come and say, hey, can you talk to us about tornadoes? Or we can tailor it to what you'd like us to talk about. So that's one thing that we love to do. We do community outreach where we'll do tabling events, where we come out and share preparedness information and materials. We have all kind of resources. And then another service that we provide is if you have a NOAA weather radio and you need help getting programmed with that, then we can help with that as well. And so I always like to, and this comes from the time that I spent with FEMA and then the time with Red Cross, is anytime I'm in front of more than 2 people, I always want to take the opportunity to share and have you leave and go away with being more prepared. So we're going to have a bunch of slides and we're just going to kind of go through these, but we want you all to learn the most 3 essential actions that you can take to be more prepared.
And know that when we present this to your groups, that will be much more in detail on each of these topics. We just don't have time in this venue.
Yeah. So with preparedness, the more we can get individuals prepared, the more the community can be prepared, and that helps the community be more resilient. So again, we know, especially like with teenagers, with kiddos, the more prepared they are, the less anxiety they experience during an emergency or a disaster. So our goal is really to get everybody as prepared as possible, because when you are more resilient, it frees up those resources you don't need for others that do. So that's really important. So the biggest thing is make a plan. And when we talk to folks about disaster preparedness, how many people have an emergency kit? A few people, okay. But
The iffy part.
but just in general, when we talk to people,
We should.
that's probably the #1 action that they're taking to be better prepared. And so, and it's of the 3, that's the one that there's the most cost associated with it. And the other 2, I think, are equally, if not more important, and they're free. So the biggest thing is to make a plan. And a lot of you probably have a plan of what you would do, and it's inside your head. But making sure that you have that in one place and that you're sharing it with the people that live in your home and your family members. So have a plan of how to evacuate your house if there's a fire. Have a plan of what you would do if you would have to leave your home for a prolonged period of time. And have a plan of what to do if you had to shelter in place. So a lot of that is a fancy word, like when we have winter storms here and we see on the news that we're going to have treacherous driving conditions, right? We're excellent about going to the store, stocking up and saying, I'm not even trying to drive for the next 4 or 5 days. That is what we mean by being prepared and sort of sheltering in place and having that plan.
Smoked eggs and bread, right? How much French toast can we eat?
And get those Twinkies.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it too in your plan, and this is very important. How many of you yesterday experienced the total blackout with Spectrum?
Oh, yeah.
You, okay. So, I just happened to be at my mom's house and she, lost everything at the same time. Of course, she lost her internet, her landline phone, and her cable. I think she was most upset about the cable.
Can't miss your show.
But so the important thing, but she still had her cell phone, right? And that, so I could communicate. I happened to be there, but if I wasn't there, she could still communicate with me by her cell phone. So having those redundant ways to communicate, and then is something you definitely want to consider in your plan. And always remember, text is best, because when there's a crisis, if anybody went and tried to make a phone call, if they were at like the Super Bowl parade, and there was hundreds of thousands of people there, you probably couldn't make a phone call. So texting takes way less bandwidth than actually making a phone call. So if you're trying to get through to somebody, always try and text them. And then this is a sort of one of the ways that I think you guys, especially with the neighborhood groups, can really take this to heart and get involved with this. A couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, FEMA had a theme for National Preparedness Month that focused on older adults and especially those living in rural. Because some of you may remember about 3 or 4 years ago, the Surgeon General did a study where he said that loneliness is an epidemic in the United States. And so there was a university in Ohio that did a study that told them that people 55 and above that they surveyed, about 30% go an entire week without having personal interaction or engagement with another human being. So that is majorly concerning, especially when we look at disaster. So there are a lot of people that are isolated, that live alone in their homes, that they don't have anybody to check on them after something happens, or just on a regular basis. So we a lot of times hear about people that fell and it took days for somebody to find them. So one of the things we try and do, especially to prepare for disasters, is to get people to create a support network. So a support network, especially for folks with access and functional needs or disabilities, can be a lifeline. So that can be neighbors, that can be family, that can be friends. And hopefully they have someone that there's a trust level enough that they might have a key to their home. So after emergency, they can go in, they can check on them. They know if they have medical conditions, they know where they keep their durable medical equipment or their medications, but somebody that can support them following a disaster. Okay. And then, so again, this is some of the stuff that we'll get more into detail, but of course, building a kit, which a lot of you have done, but, and then be informed. So real quickly, what Matt talks about with the outdoor weather sirens. A lot of people, when I would go out and do presentations, would always tell me, you know, they went off, I didn't even hear them. So they're meant for being outdoors. So if you were indoors, and especially if you were a heavy sleeper, you may not hear those. So one of the ways we recommend, again, with that redundancy of communication devices, is to have an app downloaded on your cell phone, because we're usually charging that on our nightstand by our head at night. And it could be Red Cross, it could be FEMA has an app, the National Weather Service, but have that redundancy, have something that is going to wake you up. And then, of course, the weather radios.
Weather radios you can get here at Price Chopper. We coordinate with Price Chopper, and when I say we, I mean the emergency managers in the whole metro. They sell them for $2 over what they cost to bring into the country. So they're very inexpensive relative to buying them even from Amazon or something like that. That particular model is really easy to program. And now you can tell it what warnings you want to get and what warnings you don't, and for which counties you want to get them for. So you can really narrow it down, because a lot of people were annoyed with the old versions that they kept going off for, you know, Shellicott or something. And you can stop that.
So real quickly, since FEMA and NOAA is being decommissioned by the feds, where does that put us? I think we're ahead of the game in some ways, because when I'm still on commission, I remember all the work you guys did at the city level to try to make sure we were ready. So it sounds to me like the weather radio is it.
Weather radio is a good tool. I always refer to this as a puzzle, right? For you to make good decisions for yourself, you have to know the whole picture. Every one of these items is a piece of that puzzle. The more of them you have, the better the picture is. The better the picture is, the better response you will make. So we try to give you as many options as we can. I really like the Red Cross's app, by the way. I've done some testing and find it to be very accurate. As far as National Weather Service and their challenges, I just did a story with Casey Starr. I think it's going to come out today or tomorrow about the impacts that has for emergency managers as a whole. We are totally reliant on them in some cases. And they have committed to us that that'll be the very last thing that they impact. They're going to make sure that we still get that information that we need. And so far they've done that. But I think the downside is that means they're giving up a whole lot of research, a whole lot of things like hydrology. That's how the rivers come up and go down. Turkey Creek's one of their big players, right? And then we see the impacts that has for us downstream. The impact of it in the Call River is still out there today from 17. So, you know, all those things, but at least we know, at least they get information to me. We try to cook it down and make it palatable for everybody else. And then we try to get that message out there.
So basically what I'm hearing is that we're prepared to deal with our emergencies without the feds coming in and helping us as much as of course we need. But because it's money.
It will have impacts for us, but it'll be lessened because of the partnership that we have and the agreements that we've made verbally with at least our local office to say, this will be the last thing we cut. For example, they provide forecasters during race weekends, and they literally put them in the seat next to us. And that's a huge expense for them in terms of personnel time, and they're already short and so forth. But they understand too that we have a whole city sitting out there. And in fact, I think it's one of the top 10 cities in the state when everybody's in for a race. So we need to protect them as best we can. And that has worked out very, very good, both for the Speedway and for us, because we've been able to not set off sirens. We set off sirens, that costs them millions of dollars, and I appreciate that. Will I do that over the safety of the people? Absolutely, don't care. But we work together with them to make sure we have a good partnership there. And we held off doing that because I had that professional sitting next to me who said, don't worry, this isn't coming this fall. And he was right, and it played out perfectly.
Thank you for that update.
And then another excellent way to get more prepared is to get involved. And so we have two programs here in Wyandotte County that are great ways to prepare yourself, your household, help with the community. And that is the STIR program. And it is the Community Emergency Response Team Training. It is a FEMA developed training, but it is locally taught and supported. And the great thing about it is it's standardized. So if you take it and move somewhere else throughout the country, it's all the same. We have a training coming up. We have brochures here back on the table at the end of August. But STIR is a wonderful training that teaches things like how to turn utilities off in your house, how to put out small fires with an extinguisher, some medical triage type stuff, psychological first aid. So it's a great how to be part of a team, and you can go through it. It's absolutely free of cost. You can go through it with the intention of just being more individually prepared, having your household be more prepared, but you can also go through it. And if you really like it, then you can join the Wyandotte County CERT team and help us at emergency management with some of the activities and responses throughout the county. So again, that's coming up free of charge. We highly recommend it. And then we also have, Matt, if you want to talk about.
Yeah, this is the RACES team, Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service. Our primary role for them is in a weather spotting role so that they're verbally telling us this is what we see on the ground. We can all sit and watch radar, but I can tell you that what's happening on the radar and what's happening on the ground sometimes varies a lot. And the Weather Service really appreciates having that information. So we feed it back up the chain to them in real time. And then we also use them for a lot of other things. They're great just to have eyes and ears, and they come with their own communications tools. We don't have to supply them with tools. And we have a pretty robust amateur station at the office in our EOC. So we can get that information again right into the flow of information that comes in and gets to the commissioners to make good decisions about how we're going to prioritize things. So that's a great group of folks. Some are very, very, very dedicated to it. I have to haul them back in sometimes when it's not safe for them to be out. But so we kind of watch out. But it's a great, great way to do that. The classes are easy. I have taught a 7-year-old how to be an amateur radio operator. No pressure. But it's really easy to do, relatively inexpensive. And once you have that license, it's yours forever. Good opportunity to support what we did.
And then I always like to plug some resources. If you want more in-depth information about specific hazards, tornadoes, floods, severe weather, FEMA.gov is a site by FEMA, and they always have materials that you can download. They have a warehouse where you can order materials to be shipped to you for free. Sometimes, depending on their funding, they may have items available to order. Sometimes their warehouse is empty. So it kind of ebbs and flows. And then does anybody have any questions?
We have time for 2 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
How do we, there it is. I was just.
There you go. Can you read it?
Contact with you.
It's that tough. And my cards are back here on the table.
Okay.
And my cell phone number is on there. You're welcome to reach out to me on that. If you wake me up at 2 a.m, I may be groggy, but I will answer.
Thanks.
But just, is there any other questions? Or squander that one other opportunity? All right. So thank you very much. If you're interested in having us, your folks, please let us know. Any questions in the outside world? I'm sure Edwin has something to say.
Can I share your PowerPoint?
Absolutely.
Good job, Matt. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. That was our second and last presentation. We're going to move into department and organizations updates. And call on your department if you would introduce yourself and then also limit your update to about 3 minutes. I appreciate it. And first up, we have KCK with the 500.
Good morning, everyone. We don't have anything today, so Thank you.
We can go that.
I
Think
do-
that Turner, you like to go too?
I think I'm getting a big head.
Oh, I wanted to mention that school is officially over for some folks here at the district. Our graduates, we had wonderful graduation ceremonies over the weekend. The weather was beautiful until it wasn't, but it held off. And we appreciate all the love and support that you guys have given our district.
Thanks, Mark. Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad. Anybody from Turner available? KCK Fire Department.
Hi there, I'm Kelly Littlefield. I'm sitting in today for Fire Marshal John Droppelman. Just some quick updates with the fire department. The open burning season ended April 30th. We issued 583 burn permits. Please do not burn without a permit. The next open burn season starts the middle of October. So it'll be October 15th that the portal goes online through the website. If you need fire apparatus to attend an event, community event, neighborhood get-togethers, that kind of stuff, we're happy to send fire apparatus to that. We do appreciate a request online at our website, kckfd.org, and then click Community Request under the Contact Us tab. So if you go to Contact Us and click Community Request, you can fill out an online form. We appreciate that being done 2 weeks in advance. If your request is less than 2 weeks, the portal won't accept it. And then just generally what's going on around here, we've run so far this year, 13,191 calls for service, 6,234 medical calls, 74 structure fires, 70 vehicle fires, 118 automatic alarms. And we had so far this year, 194 calls for illegal burning. Recently on May the 8th, our fire academy graduated 9 new firefighters. And then First Responders Day at Monarchs Baseball is Friday night, May 30th. A couple of safety tips for the month of May going into June. Grilling, be careful when you are grilling. Make sure your grill is at least 10 feet away from your house. When you are through grilling, especially with a propane grill, be sure that you turn the gas bottle off, not just the grill itself, but turn the gas off also. And then with flash flooding, please do not drive through high water. The other day when we had that torrential downpour, we had multiple rescues at the same time for people that were trapped in high water. And I think that's it for us. If you have any questions, just reach out. We're happy to answer.
Thanks, Kelly. Do we have anybody from KCK Police Department?
Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna try and keep it quick, but I do have a few events to tell you guys about. The first one is actually today at 4 p.m. West Patrol is having their open house. So if you have some time, we'll be there from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I think there's free hot dogs, chips, all the fun food, and then we'll have our apparatus out there as well, gaming trailer, that kind of fun stuff. So if you have time, stop by and see us. We have a new program that we're doing. It's called the Ride to Live program that my traffic unit is doing. The public can come out there and learn tips and tricks on how to safely ride your motorcycle. So if you know anybody that might be interested in that, you do have to register ahead of time. A motorcycle license is required, insurance is required. You have to show proof of both of those things. And we do not provide you a bike. So you have to bring your motorcycle, have your helmet. But the guys are awesome. And this is the second one we'll be doing. So we've opened it up to the public now. We have a couple more. Our Youth Academy, I brought some of these. We have dates the end of June and the end of August, or I'm sorry, the end of July as well. Youth from ages 12 to 15. So registration is open for this. If you know anybody who would be interested, it's a 1-week program. And last but not least, our Tackling Conflict Together, June 14th is going to be open to kids ages 7 to 18. This is an awesome time if you know any kids that want to come out and play with us. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Wyco Sheriff's Department.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grace Johnson. We just have one event coming up on June 20th. It's Sheriff's Day at the pool. Over at Parkwood Pool, that's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we'll be advertising that on our social media, just like we do everything else. We just had our cadet class graduate, so there were 9 high schoolers that came from local schools, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, from January to last week, whatever. So they just graduated. That was a huge success. And then early in June, we have our next recruit class, which has 5 individuals graduating. So we're getting some more staff. If you know anybody that's interested in a position with us, we have our next open testing on June 26th at 2:30 p.m. And again, that comes on our social media. What else? The sheriff would love to come talk to you guys, just like any election year, in case you guys have any questions for him. He's happy to answer. I unfortunately have to go to another meeting pretty much right after. So I'll leave my card on that table right over there. If you would like to get in contact with him, just send me an email and I'll get everything set up for you. Any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Does VQ have any other announcements? Great presentation.
We took enough time already.
Anybody from the mayor's office? Dean's office.
Good morning, everyone. I am so glad to see the coffee here. I stopped to get the coffee. I'm glad you're back to getting coffee. That's great. So, 2 things. One, the expungement fair is happening next month. And the dates for that is July 29th through the 30th. So July 29th through the 30th. So what is expungement? For those of you who don't know, expungement is the opportunity that Kansas, many other states, hence our neighboring state, Missouri, doesn't do it, but Kansas, we offer the opportunity to clear your record if and only if you have completed your sentence and 3 to 7 years, on most cases, has passed since you've had any type of criminal or police contact. So an individual who was convicted of a crime, cannot be a murder, it cannot be a sex crime, it cannot be a crime against children. I know I'm reading your mind. So all of those very bad things, you don't get to clear the record. But everything else, which, quiet as kept, make up the majority of the criminal cases in most counties, including ours. 90% of them are nonviolent crimes. Those cases are the ones that you have an opportunity to clear your record. The expungement fair was created 7 years ago with this administration, and it has been booming in collaboration with the Kansas Community College. We'll be at the Technical Center. We have partnered with the Kansas Legal Services. They will provide their services free of charge. And thankfully, the state of Kansas have given $200,000 to them for specifically expungement. The other part of this thing is it costs $200 per filing. So you go in, you fill out all this paperwork, and then you have to submit it to the court, and you have to pay a $200 filing fee for the judge to review it to make a determination if you can have your record cleared, despite if you meet all of those qualifications. That $200 has prevented many people from being able to go after this, along with having been a former defense lawyer, the $2,500 that lawyers usually charge you to represent you to get those expungements. So what happens is we take away the $2,500 to a lawyer because you don't need one. We have the Kansas Legal Services. And yes, now we have the Wyandotte County Public Defender's Office, and they too are a part of this on the defense side. And so you don't have to worry about that expense. The other part is that $200 that goes directly to the court. The KLS in their grant will pay for about the first 100 people to come in, and those will be free as well. And so in essence, you're able to get a complete expungement and go before the court, in most cases, get it completely wiped out for free of charge. 80% of individuals who have any type of criminal record will not receive a call back on a job. Why is this so important? And why is the DA's office doing it? Because our job as the district attorney's office is to not only make the community safer by locking people up, but it's to make the community safer by preventing crime. And I am just a firm believer that if people had an opportunity to make their own money, they're less likely to try to come and take mine. Having said that, that is our biggest announcement. Tell your friends, tell your family. Many people have records from 20, 30, 40 years ago that they have been quiet about, that they don't want to talk about. And many of them never knew that expungement was a possibility because of how much money it costs. And so now is an opportunity for them to come in and to do it free. Everything else that I wanted to say is on the little card over here. You can check into it. And if you want more information, reach out to Jonathan Carter. He's on the screen and he would love to take your call. And I, of course, would love to have a cup of coffee down at the courthouse anytime. Thank
And I
you.
want to say thank you. I happened to be at the meeting that he was at when he found out about this. Was the federal attorney was there, district attorney was there, and she was pushing for this sort of thing. And the whole group of attorneys from the metro area was there, and they were helping create this activity for exactly the same reason. And so basically they talked with him and he turned him loose and here he is there. So thank you for that work.
Thank you. No, yes, ma'am.
Is there a flyer for the expungement fair?
There will be a flyer on our Facebook page. If you're not a follower of our social medias, please reach out, go to our Facebook, go to our
Website.
Instagram, and it's on our website. And we will put it on the website, but our expungement paperwork is on our website right now. But our flyer likewise will be on all UG websites, social media, as well as Wyandotte County DA social media. And so you can spread that around. And Jonathan is listening to me, so I'm sure that will be out by the end of the week.
Okay.
And so we'll be there. I know it's Thursday, right? Tomorrow's the end of the week. I know. No, I know. I said he will not make me a liar. So this is good. Any other questions?
I think it's a great program. It's a super program. Do you have any idea of how many people that get expungements go back and recommit anything?
They are looking at that data now, and I will tell you that the recidivism for those who get the expungement for Wyandotte is tremendously low. It's tremendously low. In fact, in our first 2 years of doing the expungement fair, more people in Wyandotte County received an expungement than previous 20 years.
Wow.
And it was because, which is why I said the whole folks who have criminal records from 10, 20, 30 years ago, a vast majority of those folks from that first 2 years were our elderly folks. They were 60, I shouldn't say elderly, 70, 60. I'm getting up there in age. I'm not old, folks. We got to push it a little bit. But nonetheless, it's folks who really got those criminal records 30 years ago. I had one gentleman, he was 70 years old. Him and his wife had been married for 30 years. He got up and he hugged me. I'm not going to lie to you. He was an elderly white guy and it kind of surprised me. I was like, hey, and he reached in and hugged me. And his wife stood up with tears in her eyes and said he has lost 4 construction jobs in the last 30 years because of that one mistake. He never knew that this was possible. If this elderly gentleman is feeling like that, how many more folks of all races, nationalities, and so on and so forth are feeling the same way? And his background was a misdemeanor. It was a misdemeanor. And so we're not just talking about felonies. We're talking about misdemeanors, felonies, even arrest, right? So sometimes you're arrested and you're not convicted of a crime or even charged with the crime, but that arrest is on your record. And so when they do the background check, it'll show up contact with police, arrest. Well, then it says nothing else. So if I'm an employer and I just see an arrest on the record, of course, employers are thinking the worst. Well, I don't know what happened. What next? Right. And so having said that, all of those things can be expunged. Yes, ma'am.
Last 2 questions. Are the flyers in English and Spanish?
Yes, ma'am, they will be.
Second question, for the people that are after the 100 free, how do they end up having to pay, or what's that?
It's $200, right? So
2,500 because of legal aid, they don't have.
No, you don't have to pay that,
Okay.
right? So we made sure that, and that's, I did get some pushback from my wonderful defense brothers and sisters. I was like, hey man, you messing with our money. But with us putting it all online and then connecting them with Kansas Legal Services as well as the Public Defender's Office, on those 2 days, they're able to receive that counsel that will cost $2,500. And then right there at the Kansas Technical Center, it's a computer lab. And so what the attorneys would charge for is filling out that documentation that is now online with us there, and they're helping you fill it all out. So in essence, you won't need that attorney because you're getting all of the, if you will, legal advice that you need at that moment. As prosecutors, we can't give that legal advice since we are prosecutors, but we have to make sure that you qualify. And that's where all of our criminal history checks, all of our background. We can go into the court system. We can do all of that right there to make sure that you're not wasting your time and wasting everyone else's time.
I'm not sure, I'm still not clear on how to initiate that process.
Show up on that date, and then you will be, when
The
you,
date is when?
oh, forgive me, it is July 29th and the 30th.
And you said the details are at what website?
It is at the Wyandotte County District Attorney's
Okay.
Website, and I can't give you the
Okay,
exact
so
in
just go
my
there and
head.
look for departments.
Yeah, look for departments and just put in Wyandotte County
It'll be
DAs. It'll be there,
By the
as
end of
well
the
as on our website, as well as on our
I
website.
don't know your website either.
I didn't mean to say website, Facebook.
What?
Facebook page is what I meant to say. Forgive me of that.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the background checks, you probably don't have any jurisdiction over it, but couldn't they make a little notation that said traffic tickets or, misdemeanor, something that would give employers a kernel of information about what it was about?
I don't have any control over that. And just like any other thing, many of these things are becoming privatized. And so individuals can have certain contracts, meaning certain companies can have contracts with the government and with others to run background checks. And so you have your private company who is running your background check. And unfortunately, what we have is, folks who are just trying to make a buck. And so even, years later, when things have been updated and so on, they didn't pay for the update. So it still has you down as X, Y, and Z. And so that's why these things are so important. I did not mean to take all of this time. Please reach out and you can have a cup of coffee with me and I can explain in detail more for you. Okay, so thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go super quick, promise. Okay, Crystal McFetter, Strategic Communications. Just have a couple quick announcements. Just want to let everyone know about Juneteenth celebration coming up June 21st. And there's a lot of other Juneteenth celebrations going on. Huge collaboration with the UG, Village Initiative, Juneteenth and the Dot, Police Department, Sheriffs. Really great opportunities. Will be a parade as well as free food, lots of games. You do not want to miss this great event. Also, make sure you're connected with us. Matt and his team did a great job regarding emergency management. But if there are certain updates for our area, we will keep you all communicated with via social media. And if there's something major, we always push certain things out via media, the media as well, news. So just stay connected with us as much as possible. Also, exciting news coming up for Memorial Hall Centennial on May 30th. That is 100-year dedication date. So some great information will drop on that day. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's a teaser. So get ready on our website and social media for May 30th. Some big news about Memorial Hall. That's all. And I'm gonna give them the rest of my time. Thanks, Chris. All right, stop talking.
No, that's okay. There's no announcements for the Neighborhood Resource Center. UG Planning and Urban Design couldn't make it, but they do have an announcement that if you would like to submit a suggestion for a traffic safety through the Vision Zero Action Map, you can do that through the end of May, and then that will no longer take any more suggestions. So go to UG landing page for Vision Zero Action Plan and submit a suggestion.
June 5th, the community input for our budget. We're in the heat of our budget season. We would like for everyone to come and provide any input, suggestions, complaints, recommendations on June 5th at City Hall, Commission Chambers at 7 p.m. So information's also in Nina's Livable neighborhoods.
You guys are planning on being up until about 1 o'clock?
Probably so. There's some great meetings.
I know, but yeah.
Wyandotte County Health Department. Or not, okay. UG Public Works, so environmental services, solid waste. Everybody, okay. Online, yeah. UG Parks and Recs.
Good morning, everyone.
Yay.
I'm just gonna do a few of our announcements, and since we have our park manager here, Vincent Belacci, I'll let him take over the park announcements, for all our great park updates. We're officially kicking off summer. Memorial Day is, when all our activities kick off. Our summer camp begins on June 2nd, at Eisenhower Community Center. That camp is full, and then the camp that we're having at Beatrice Lee, in July is also full. On June 7th at 10 a.m. at Wyandotte County Lake, we're having our first installment of Paint in the Park, where if you're looking to come out, we'll have our staff on site and the opportunity for people to come enjoy the park and paint. That'll be June 7th at 10 a.m. and that registration information should be online by the end of this week. And then Crystal already mentioned the Juneteenth event, which we're collaborating with at Clam Park on June 21st. And pools and spray parks are scheduled to open this weekend, but that will be weather pending. We can't have outdoor swimming if it is raining, lightning, or extremely cold. So just follow our social media to get updates on that. And then I'm sure Benny wants to talk about all of our wonderful park projects.
We do have a lot. I will make one sort of correction to the spray parks. There's one that's going to be delayed. Pearson Park is getting totally upgraded there. So that's still under construction. We're hoping it'll be wrapped up here. I don't want to give a solid date, but we're hopeful in the next couple of weeks that will be open, but all the others will be open this weekend, weather depending. We do have a lot of projects going on. I'm probably going to forget some because we have so many, which is great. This past Friday, we opened up dog park out in Wyandotte County Lake. It's close to 3 acres. So that's where the old leash free area used to be. So near shelter 16 and near the archery range, nice fenced in dog park there. We have a walking trail at Wyandotte County Park under construction. It'll probably be wrapped up around July, but that's going to be nearly a mile. It's technically like 0.91 mile walking trail. So that's going to be really nice out there. If you've ever been in Wyandotte County Park, we have a lot of people walking in the road. So it'll be nice and safe there. Pearson Park, we have the splash pad that I touched on. We have a walking trail going in there and this dog park also. So that'll be nice for that park. Heathwood splash pad should be opening this weekend. That's a brand new replacement, but totally new construction on that. Boston Daniels Park. That's a total renovation of that park. It's going to be amazing. I was just there before this meeting and it looks like they're starting the playground installation today. So that'll probably be a late June completion on that. I'm missing more. We have a lot, which is great. And I will note that these are all 2024 funded projects that are just coming to construction this year. So Ruby, we had a brand new playground at Ruby. It's the first turf playground in our system. So we're excited for that play surfacing. St. John's Park down there on Strawberry Hill. We did a community build for that playground with the St. John's Neighborhood Association. So that specific neighborhood group's been working to get a playground there since we found a newspaper article, at least 1971.
Oh, wow.
So they finally have a playground there, which is amazing. We had a lot of volunteers, a lot of UG departments assisted with that playground as well. So that was a couple weeks ago. We stopped by and check out that playground. You know, we've got a lot going on, which is good. I think.
He's giving me a lead in because I'm on Wyandotte County Parks Foundation Board. And we're having our fundraising golf tournament September the 12th out at the Sunflower Golf Course. And so I'm going to give Crystal the LinkedIn information so she could put that on the UG website. Thank you.
Okay, and we have one more department / division that's been added to our agenda, and that's the Wyandotte County Election Office. So if anybody's here for the election office or
I'll have their update really quick because I don't think they're here, but they selected a student. They had a art competition and they selected a student and went and took pictures and met with her today. And so all the information about the student and her sticker design for this upcoming election will be announced on next week. So they for the I voted and future voted.
Wow, I didn't know that there was competition.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move into our additional community announcements. If you're in person, it'll come up, and I know it's 10:30, but we're stick with me, y'all. We, introduce yourself, keep it to about a minute, and if you're online, if you have an announcement, drop it in the chat, and I'll read them after everybody in person has gone.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mr. Ortiz. I'm with KU Medical Center. I work for the Center for African American Health as well as Frontiers Clinical and Translational Science and Research. So we would like to invite you for our Juneteenth Festival on June 13th. Please register if you'd like to attend. We have a wellness fair from 4 to 6, and there's gonna be CPR demos, soul food cooking demos, and just vendors and a lot of other health related things. We're gonna have community health workers as well. And from 6 to 9, there's gonna be a jazz and R&B outdoor festival. There's gonna be like a kids corner, and everyone who registers gets a food truck pass. So yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, we're expecting about 400 to 600 people. So we are like about halfway sold out. So please register if you can today. So let me know if you like some flyers. I have a whole bunch of them. Thank you.
Hi, Connie Brown Collins of Voter Rights Network in Wyandotte County. I just want to announce our upcoming voter education series, Leaning into Locals. So we mainly work at the state level, but we are making an exception this time and offering voter education on local elected offices. It's not a candidate forum. It's having local officials who are elected but not running come in and talk about what they do. For instance, the Mayor Garner, will be headlining our first session, which is this Saturday at the South Branch Library. Also, our Honorable Melissa Bynum will also headline that session this Saturday at South Branch Library, 1 o'clock. And we hope that all of you will attend. I have these flyers, or if you'd like for me to email you the link to sign up, I can do that as well. We have 2 more sessions, consecutive Saturdays. Our session 2 is Board and Commission Powers. And headlining that will be the BPU board member, Brett Parkin. And we have other important and critical commissions and boards in that session. And session 3 is elected school boards. So we'll first talk about the KCK-CC Community College Board, and then the other district school boards be represented in that session. So we hope you come out. You're more than welcome to join us. We'd love to see you there. I also have a lot of voting information. These are flyers that tell about the dates for the primary and general elections. So I can leave these on the back if you'd like to collect those. Thank you very much.
Questions? Anybody else in person?
Paul Marks, Red Cross. I just want to put an exclamation point on what Matt said. The Red Cross emergency app is very easy to download. Just search for it on your Google Play or whatever other platform you use to get of apps, and it downloads in literally seconds. It's a great app.
Thank you. I can vouch for them.
I think that's all our in-person announcements. For online, Strawberry Pub Crawl is on June 14th. Rose has put in the chat a link if you would like to buy tickets, and then I can also make sure to send it out in its upcoming newsletter. If you're interested, please support that neighborhood association. Linda says on May 29th, it is the summer reading kickoff part for KCK Public Library at Boulevard Drive-In. Gates open at 7 p.m. and the movie, The Wild Robot, starts at 9:15. Join them for an evening of fun and sign up for their summer reading program. One more announcement from the library. The West Wyandotte Public Library is having a book sale this month. The sale is on Thursday, May 29th from 5 to 9 and 10 to 3 on Friday, the 30th and Saturday, the 31st. It is $2 per bag of books. It's a real bargain. Information on the DA's office. Celebrate Juneteenth, which Crystal talked about. And if your organization would like to purchase a sponsorship ad, the Juneteenth keepsake booklet, details are provided on the UG website page. Katie says Central Avenue Betterment Association is having a summer mentoring program coming up starting on June 9th and going until July 26th. Students participating will learn about holistic growth and receive a stipend. We love to get paid. And finally, we have our Flavors of Central tour on June 21st. Excuse me, 25 plus restaurants will be participating. So come with an empty belly for this event and a partnership with Run Machine Party Bus to give rise to folks participating in the tour. You can purchase tickets for this event or register for the summer mentoring program at cabakck.org, or you can email Katie at admin@cabakck.org. Yvette with El Centro says if you have any flyers you'd like to share with El Centro or for their clients, you can email her at ysolis@elcentroinc.com. And that is all of the announcements. Thank you so much for sharing your morning with me. I will see you in June. If you didn't sign in on your way in, sign on your way out. And thank you everybody online for.
Please take a donut with you.
You can take food. Bye, y'all.